Here we are then, straight in with a range test. Don't usually do that, but we're plonking it in. So battery percentage, 94%. Pause this if you need to. There's the battery health statuses, 1 and 2. So we're going to rush through this. So that is it. You can pause those if you want to see the stats, but it was fully charged before I left. I also decided to wear a much skin tighter top because I thought the puffer jacket might have affected the first range test, possibly. It was a windy day. It's quite balloony, so I wore this one, Helly Hansen top, which is really tight, and I headed straight out. So we are going to rush through this range test. This is not something we usually do. We usually do the range test and unboxing, then do the 250, feedback, 650 and 1000. I'm doing an extra range test for you guys here, and I'm going a bit quicker. So you will see here the 19 miles point. You can hear the beeping. That is the first beeps at 19 mile point. And then not much after that, we're straight down even lower, and this is the 26 miles point. So we're really rapidly just showing you a quick snippet of the range test I did, but it's beeping the entire time at that speed. So that's kilometers an hour, not miles per hour. That's the 26 mile point. Yeah, and you're going to have to excuse the audio coming up, but it was done on the fly as I was riding. Right, that's the proof of 26 miles. Show this one. Right, I hope it shows the battery percentage. Yep, and there we have it. We've got tilt back. Okay, so there's the tilt back in daytime this time. Was just tilted back. Oh, interesting. Yeah, that needs checking. That's happened on this ride, surprisingly. Let's, if I can screw that back in slightly. It does say though, it does say check everything. I'm not saying that's against this wheel at all. It does say, because you have to do this with new stuff, to double check everything. That should be enough to stop it falling out. Yeah, so if I lean forward on it, so now it's rocking forward and back. Can you see that? Let me try. See if we get to do it again. There you go, that's doing it, not me. Let's try and check it again. So forward and back, let's try and get you to get off. Right, the important thing now, let's have a little look to see what mileage it's done. As you can see on here, it's showing 17% battery left. 18 it's just jumped to. Let's have a quick look now at the soft tuner to see what the battery percentage readout is. But first of all, let me go and get you the mileage at the moment. Okay, well here's the mileage. Distance 27.3. So now it's basically, it's unrideable. I'm gonna have to do what I did again to get home because I'm in the middle of nowhere. So I'm probably 2 miles from home. I'm gonna have to stand right on the end of the footplates to try and get it to go forward with a bit of a run-in start to get on it. Let's have a look at soft tuner. Okay, so look at device info. Battery number 1. It's giving me a readout now. This is where we're at. So current voltage 95.17. Alarm status low power. Battery 2. And that's where we are with that. Definitely worth noting at this point. Don't forget I'm being led by the app, which was showing around about 18% and wasn't sure whether soft tuner was accurate, so not sure at this point in time. But here you see a crash. Now, despite watching that back multiple times frame by frames, I thought at the time my foot slipped, which I'm not sure. I think I don't think it was the wheel that failed. I think it was me that failed. I think I leant forward so much on the end of those foot plates, and I was relying on those side pads, and I think my knee slipped off the side pad slightly, which caused my left foot to come off, and obviously all the weight's on my right, pushing the foot plate straight into the ground and throwing me off. Bust my hand doing that. Not my wrist, just the palm of my hand, because I wasn't wearing a glove, because I was holding the drone controller. Sweet, just what I needed. So yeah, off I head. I'm right on the end of the foot plates here. Not pleasant at all. Okay, well, in answer to what happens if you keep on riding it with sitting on the front of the foot plates. Not gone that well, to be honest. Bit of a scrape mark here. So I was doing about 4 miles an hour and went down. That's that part that they're replacing. Yeah, so in answer to the question, are the batteries actually flat when it's reading 17 on the app? Well, yeah, it's not enough to hold it up anymore. So that answers that question. So have I run it completely out, or was there load remaining and it was just a weird app thing? No, or firmware, because it's just cut off with 0 battery. Didn't roll or anything, just got off it. They're going so slow, but yeah, I'll pick up the pieces of the that's a shame. Yeah, okay, right, well that's it. So I'm walking now. We've got device info, battery, there we go. So they're all amber. You got the voltage, 82.62 is what it cuts out at. That's 82.75. Got all the same. Alarm status, total voltage, abnormal, single, low pressure, low power. Presumably the same with this one. Yep, exactly the same. Yep, okay. Well, there you go. For all those interested. Yo, we are going to try the stairs again. We've had some hints and tips from viewers, many viewers. Now, you would think, go down this way, turn it around. And then when you're going down, hold the back and just simply push forward slightly. And then it's no issue. You see if you're controlling it from the back of the suspension. So it goes down. One thing worth pointing out, these steps aren't like your usual steps. They're covered in something weird. It's an old warehouse from probably the 50s, 60s. They're a bit slippy. They're also slightly higher than other steps. Now, the reason I didn't look at turning it around before is because of this back piece, which is there. But it just, as you might be able to see there, just misses. Just looks a bit dodgy. So I never even really thought about it. I thought it's going to catch on something. Now, apart from the echo, you actually have to excuse, it is very hit and miss this. So when this tyre was soaking wet when I came in earlier today from doing a range test, it wouldn't grip to get out, just spinning because it's wet. Now it's dried, I've just given it a go and it works okay, but it's a bit hit and miss. But basically, you come up to the steps, let's pretend this is real life. Would I want to do this in a crowded environment, like on the tube? I don't think so, but each their own. So just come up to it, you follow it up, turn it around and go, here we go. See, it's a bit bitey. There we are. So that's pretty much, I'm a little bit tired, but that was pretty much all of it. So let's do it again. I can smell burning rubber slightly, by the way. Don't hold this one because it'll come up. Much more controllable. So it's a bit, takes the weight off, but it works, but it does smell of burning rubber again now. As I say, when it was wet, seat's in the wrong position, makes you go backwards. But in the wet, it spun up, took quite a lot to get it to grip, but that could be useful for something. Little tip, turn it around the other way. Another question we got was regarding the rear lights. So when you're riding along, the lights are on there. Front lights are on, you see, because it's dark enough in the warehouse. You can see that there's, when you're dead straight, there's no rear light. Did try turning this on with the app, made no difference to any of the lighting controls at all. When you're turning left, it's flashing left, or right, it flashes right blue, annoyingly, rather than, that's like an amber. The brake lights put a red light on when you pull back, but when you're going dead straight, as you can see, not getting any lights at all. There's a brake light, so that's pretty handy, but at night, it's not putting a rear light on. It's just doing what you see here. This is a nighttime mode, essentially. And none of the changes in the app, we were stationary, we did the changes, because sometimes they don't apply on some manufacturers if you're moving, so we made sure we were still. Tried it, but yeah, we weren't really getting any joy with that. Indication's pretty good, fairly accurate. You can see it's a bit slow to make any changes there, and it's cancelled out as well by the brake light, so as you pull back, there is no indication. So you kind of lose that functionality when you're braking. So if you're very often are slowing down to turn, it's going to be overridden by the brakes. So there you go. That's what it looks like in answer to those that asked that question. I couldn't change the colours either, despite actually changing them in the app. It made no difference to that display at the rear. So hope that answers the question. Next up for feedback is the footplate. As suspected in my first review, got a little bit wonky off the bat, really. This was about 120 kilometers, something like that, so it doesn't go dead flat, and the right hand one actually started doing that, whereas when I filmed this it wasn't doing that. It was coming down like it was new out the box. Not a major problem. It can be a slight issue because it makes it a little bit more difficult to jump on sort of smoothly out of junctions and stuff. You've got to make sure you've got your foot a bit tighter against the body and then down, rather than just knowing it's the exact same position it should be, dead flat. So especially when it's like that, it seems to change a little bit. It's not always as pronounced as that, but there you go. I thought I'd film it to honestly update how that is going on with the old footplates. So there's that. I also want to interject and say people have told me that in snowy conditions these honeycomb footplates are spot on because it doesn't get compacted on top. So there is a reason for honeycomb for those living in snowy environments. Well, I'm pretty much going to leave that there, really. I'm giving you an update on how I've been finding the wheel, and I've found it to be an absolute dream to ride. It's really, really solid on the road. The tyre, as I mentioned in the first video, is just lush. It works really well on the road. It works really well off-road. It rolls nicely on the road, left and right, as you sort of bend to go around a corner. It just rolls over really, really nice. It's not trying to force itself upright or anything like that. It doesn't tramline, and off-road it just sticks. And this thing just oozes power. So off-road is just incredible. It just digs in, bites in, and it's just great on the trails. It's a right hoon. So Sherman-esque. It's so similar in terms of its just solid weight. The only thing is it doesn't do as many miles, but then there's some big advantages with the suspension. So it's a toss-up between those two, really, whether you like the styling, you prefer the styling. If you want something that's going to do 100 miles, this is not going to be it. But definitely worth remembering that I am hammering this thing intentionally for the review. So not trying to smash it up, but I mean in terms of pushing it hard. So with this range test, I was going to split it. So I did 15 miles on road at pretty much 55 kilometers an hour the entire way, topping up to 60, just to see what would happen, how it handles that power. And then I headed off-road, and of course it only got to 27, so it's not quite a split of 50-50, but that is what I tried to attain when I was doing this test. But it is a pleasure to ride. There's no two ways about it. It comes with that nice 2 ports on it. I've got the 5 amp charge. It charges nice and quick. Works really, really well. Not disappointed with this machine at all in any form or shape, really. The front bumper, they've changed that design, so mine it literally just touched the ground at probably less than 4 miles an hour by the time it hit the ground. It just shattered like glass. So I'm so glad they've updated that, changed that completely. Hopefully they'll send us a replacement. That'd be quite nice. But everything else about it, absolutely loving that stand. You can just lean it back. Awkward with the on and off switch to make it stabilize. And the other thing we noticed is with that stabilization, actually picking up the unit to upright is quite awkward. It's doable on flat, but if you're on a slope, you need to slot your foot underneath the tyre to stop it rolling, to pick it up to centre until it then balances. It's just a little bit awkward. You'll get what I mean if you ever play around with one. Just a bit different, that's all. The other thing to note as well before I go is the crash that you saw did not damage any of the rear suspension unit at all, or nothing else in fact. That accident, nothing broke. The bigger of the 2 accidents, even though I wasn't going very fast at all, looks a lot worse than it actually was. Hurt my palm in my hands, as I say, but that's it really. So yeah, that survived. The seat didn't rip off or anything, so that was pretty cool. So do I recommend this wheel? Absolutely. If you can pack 2 chargers in your bag, you can get back on the road pretty quick if you want to push it to its full extent, so you sort of go out to around about 30 miles. Now I know there's other people reporting a much higher mileage, pretty much putting this down, as far as I can see, to climate, rider weight, rider speed, and altitude gain and loss. So we've had quite cold weather here, we got high winds, and of course the temperature is it's not the same as other climates, and I'm pushing it, so that's what I'd attribute it to. I have sent the diagnostics off to Kingsong, and they confirmed that those batteries are okay. So that was the first train of thought, was like, maybe it's that, but doesn't appear to be. I have double questioned it. I've sent the stats off. They're linked on electricpeople.org, and I'll also link them below in the description, but you have got the screenshots you can grab of that. So if you're that interested in the stats on the range, you can just pause it on this video. That's the whole point of putting it up. There's nothing to hide. We're just reporting genuinely what it is. And I'd also comment, with the Sherman, you can get 80 plus miles on a Sherman. Now, we've had massively less than that on a Sherman, and I'm thinking of doing a video on just picking a couple of wheels and saying how to kill a battery. Not to kill it so it's dead, as in that type of killing, but the fact that I can pretty much on any wheel reduce its range down to pretty much shockingly low figures by absolutely caning it, as we call it, which is not something I advocate at all, but and that's why I usually get good mileage. But on these range test videos, I want to give you guys the minimum, so I'm going to highlight anything that's an issue as we go through to 1,000 kilometers. So for those of you thinking, well, you just done one range test, that's not enough. For those for you who have got your doubts, if you followed us for all these years, we do the unboxing range test, 250, 650, 1,000. So gonna get some use to this thing and give a good report back. A good report, whether it's negative or positive, it's going to be reported back honestly. So yeah, absolutely loving the wheel. Love it. Absolutely love it. I would love it if it did 100 miles per charge, but you can't have it all, can you? But every other aspect of it, I love. So I'll leave you with a bit more footage, and I am off. I will see you on the 650 kilometer review. That's stacking some more kilometers on, so keep an eye out for that. Don't forget to like and subscribe, share this video, and join electricpeople.org. See you guys on the next one.